What's going on, guys? It's Tony with Urban Girl Scout Media, living the dream as always, and we are exactly 1 month away from Strixhaven release. We just got some new spoilers. I've got myself a beer. It is after work, and I'm going to sit down and talk to you about two cards that have come out here in the opening days of spoiler season. We have Professor Onyx and Kasmina Enigma Sage. So let's start with Professor Onyx, and right off the bat, ladies and gentlemen, Liliana is back. Just like that. Now, first look, this is a little rough, but let's run with it. So for 6 total mana, we got 4 colorless and 2 black. We get a starting loyalty of 5, and we have a new key phrase or keyword in our game, Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Very interesting. I'm also sitting outside, so you might hear some nature in the background. Let's go through the abilities. So the +1, you lose 1 life. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them in your hand and the rest into your graveyard. Very interesting. -3, each opponent sacrifices a creature with the greatest power among creatures that player controls. Saucy. That is saucy. And -8, the ultimate. Each opponent may discard a card. If they don't, they lose 3 life. Repeat this process 6 more times. All right. Well, let's talk about this for a second. So first, I would have liked to have seen Liliana Professor Onyx as the name. Just gonna throw that out there. I don't care. Normally, I don't get too serious about the names and stuff, but I think that would have been cool. Second, Magecraft. That's a pretty cool ability. I'm excited for it. I'm learning this stuff right in front of you guys, so I'm dissecting this out loud. But I think Magecraft is going to be a very cool ability. I like the fact that one of the first cards we're seeing this for is in black. I really like the fact that it is also when you copy or cast, and it's an instant or sorcery. It's each opponent. You only gain the 2 life, and there's no cap on only the first spell or second spell you do. So I actually think that Magecraft, just on this card, at least starting out, I really like this. Interesting. Okay, so the +1 ability, that's going to fit into some decks. I know there's going to be some EDH decks that, is it that Turgod or whatever, that is really popping right now. So that might be something that you want to look into. That -3 is really, really good. Making each opponent sack a creature, and it's the greatest power. So they don't even get to choose unless they have a few creatures tied at the greatest power, but that's huge. The -8, so at first read, you're like, okay, discard a card or lose 3 life, but you're doing that a total of 7 times. So you're either going to clear everyone's hand, most of their hand, or you're going to give them up to 21 life and damage. It's not bad. This is going to be a banger in EDH. I'm just going to go ahead and predict that right now. This is going to be a banger. I think that the Magecraft ability is going to make it slot in. Like, I can already see Grixis using this in a lot of different ways. Yeah, I like this. So, that's a banger. I'm just going to go ahead and call it EDH banger. Let's go over to our other Planeswalker, Kasmina Enigma Sage. So, stop me if you heard this one before, but WotC has a history of issues when they print 3-drop Simic, right? Isn't that, don't we have a history of that being kind of an issue? But anyways, so for a total of 3 converted mana cost, 1 colorless, 1 green, 1 blue, you get Kasmina. She comes in with a loyalty starting at 2, and she says each other Planeswalker you control has a loyalty abilities of Kasmina Enigma Sage. And the abilities are, for +2, you can scry 1. The -X is create a 0/0 fractal creature with X +1/+1 counters on it, green and blue. And then the ultimate is a -8. Search your library for an instant or sorcery card that shares a color with this Planeswalker. Exile that card, then shuffle your library. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Huh. So that is interesting. That is very interesting. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking first and foremost, it's very cheap and it would be very easy to have other planeswalkers on the battlefield and pump them up. Again, thinking EDH here. Pump them up and drop this. Like, I'm trying to figure out how I play. So, like, just say you have 2 or 3 random blue or green planeswalkers, you're pumping them up in the long game. And then if you get them up in that 8, 9, or 10 region of loyalty, figure out a way to get this and then use their abilities on that turn, you could potentially search for stuff like, because let's say you have 2 different planeswalkers at a loyalty of 8 or higher, you could search for like a Cyclonic Rift before an attack. Yeah, that's very interesting. Because you would have to obviously, it'd have to share color, but you could also, if you have this in like any deck where those planeswalkers get those abilities. So let's say you have a 5-color deck with a bunch of planeswalkers, or the Atraxa Super Friends. Yeah, this is going to be a problem. So as I'm talking this one out, I think this is going to be a problem. It starts pretty low on the ability, or on the loyalty. It starts pretty low, but I think the fact that other planeswalkers have that ability is what concerns me more than the fact that this card has it. Now there's a lot of things you have to jump through to get it there, but I don't think in like standard. I don't play much standard anymore, but I don't see this impacting standard. There isn't a ton of planeswalkers out there being used right now at a high level, or at least consistently. Historic, maybe. I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm thinking of the decks that use blue-green. Like, Elementals is in that wheelhouse, but they kind of use Nisa. Goddamn geese out here. I haven't played Pioneer in a while, but I don't know if there's a Planeswalker heavy build. So I really think in EDH this is going to be a problematic card. Now, there will probably be some new builds in some of these other formats to kind of help use this card, but I think EDH, this is going to be a card that if your opponents are playing a deck that has blue-green in it, and there's a lot of Planeswalkers, I would definitely be on the lookout for this. And this is actually, depending upon when it's cast. Now, if it's cast late game, I would say that this is almost an auto, like, counter. I don't think you can let this even hit the board. Again, it's going to be situational, but your opponent, and again, if you don't like my rambling thinking out loud, go fuck yourself and leave. But if you do, thank you so much for staying. Because here's my thoughts. It's like, if you're playing in a 4 or 5 person, let's just say it's casual EDH, if someone drops this like turn 3, turn 4, I'm not as worried about it because you have some time to do some things with it. But if someone's dropping this, let's say, after turn 10, and there's a lot of other stuff on the battlefield, a lot of planeswalkers and things, then it becomes problematic. And then I think it becomes an automatic, like, you have to counter this. I don't know. That's going to be I already know a couple people that are going to, I can feel they're going to try and play this right away. I can feel it. So, alright, well, there you go. This was a little bit longer than I anticipated, but I hadn't seen the cards. I knew we'd gotten the 2 planeswalkers released. I wanted to talk about you guys, and you see there's some of the other cards. I already did a video on this, so I don't have to worry about that too much. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure that you like, comment, share, subscribe, whatever you can do to help the channel. Those clicks matter, and we'll see you next time.